Welcome back to the Isaac Abrams Show, everybody. We got a very special treat for you today. We got comedian, voiceover actor, philanthropist, show producer, Keith Johnson.
I do it all. What up, everybody?
Does it all. Showed up last minute clutch.
Yes.
I'm a big fan.
Thank you,
Very,
man.
very funny.
Thank you.
I was sitting at the house, I don't know, 3 months ago, and a commercial came on, and there was a bunch of pirates.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to a solo shot of you, and I'm like, damn, that's Keith right there.
Yeah.
What was that commercial for?
It was a Postmates commercial.
Sure.
Postmates order for Blackbeard?
Oh, that's me. So starting today, we're gonna be on my new personal regimen of citrus quinoa salads, because this is the year of health and wellness.
What about pillaging?
Oh, we're gonna be pillaging.
Everything changes when you hit the spot. Postmates.
That's right.
Yeah, that was just like a fun experience. I had an audition. I was like, show up last minute, and then that was Friday, and then Saturday morning they called me and they're like, hey man, where you at? And I was like, who is this? They're like, this is the callback. This is a callback for your audition.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm down the street. I could drive up down. They're like, please do. And then drove up. They're like, hey, do you have a passport? I was like, yep. And then they're like, okay, cool. Hit me back maybe 30 minutes later. I was at a friend's funeral. And they're like, you're flying out to Toronto in like 3 hours.
Wow.
Flew out to Toronto, filmed that, and then
3 hours.
3 hours, yeah. Literally had to leave the funeral, go home, pack, and then went to the airport. So it was a very cool experience.
That makes my producer brain go like, how the fuck did they get you a visa to work in 3
I
hours?
have no idea.
But that's not your problem,
No,
right?
It wasn't my problem.
You just show up.
It was a good experience.
Wow,
So,
that's awesome.
yeah, man. So definitely a
National run, right?
no, they got me through some loopholes.
Non-union buyout.
Yeah, so I'm still grateful for the opportunity, but I think I deserved way more money.
I bet you did.
Yeah, I could have bought.
Big cast though, like 40 people, right?
No, it was maybe like 10 pirates, and then they had this big warehouse. Maybe about 40 people altogether.
Yeah.
Staff, cast included.
That's why they're trying to save that money.
Yeah.
They paid everybody the buyout, or they paid everybody a buyout, but if they had to pay residuals for all them folks.
Yeah.
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 I photographed you a couple times.
Yes, sir.
We met at the West Side Comedy Theater here in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
You and I are in opposite places in our love lives, though.
Why?
I just listened to your show.
Okay.
Which we should plug.
Yeah.
The Gentleman's Weekly.
Gentleman's Weekly.
Gentlemen's, not man's.
Yeah, Gentleman's
With the
Weekly.
E?
Yeah, we're
I
it's
searched
just
for it,
not.
right?
Yeah. Men, all men.
Is gentleman is singular and gentlemen is plural.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Gentleman's Weekly, like GQ, but GW.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That would be a good like thumbnail brand for you.
Yeah, the GW.
And you co-host that with
Rob Smallwood,
Rob
good buddy of mine. Yeah,
also
funny
has
guy.
a very smooth voice.
Yeah, he's a smooth, cool guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys could tag it ASMR and people would just like listen to it. Just a couple guys just talking.
There's some people when I talk to them, like I'll notice they'll stop listening and they're just listening to the vibration of my voice, and I'm like, hey, this is important right here.
Eyes up here.
Like, yeah, pay attention.
But you on the show recently, the last episode, you mentioned that you got new love.
Yeah, new love. Just finding a relationship, finding a good partner, equally yoked, and running with that, and maintaining that relationship. So that's been fun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm just stepping out of something.
Okay, sorry for that, but
yeah, involuntarily. But to be fair, we were kind of casually dating.
okay, those are the best ones. When you're casually dating, it's easy. Like
Yeah, we were neighbors and best friends.
Okay.
And she had a lot going on. I'm out of town a lot. And I was like, well, this is great for now.
yeah,
And I guess for now is a different thing for her now, which is like, it's losing the sexual part of it is whatever, but like losing the friendship.
the friendship part hurts.
Yeah, that's the part.
Yeah,
Because it's like we talk every day. Like,
Yeah.
good morning, how's your day going? Check in 4 or 5 times a day.
Yeah.
And then to go, oh, I won't talk to you anymore.
radio silence.
Yeah. And then, of course, it was like, well, we'll still be friends. It's like, well,
it's
you
hard.
need that break first. You need to like mute the social media.
Yeah.
Change your phone picture so you're not looking at her face every time. So it's just interesting to to be on polar opposites, like an ending of one thing and the beginning of a new thing.
It's cool, man. It's I mean, my friend Dustin Nickerson said it best. He was like, it's hard to be a good boyfriend and a good comedian at the same time.
Oh, that's interesting.
He's a husband, good father, and balances both. But yeah, it's tough, man. You have to really dedicate your time and be present, be as present as possible, and you know, just, I mean, if it ends, it ends, but then you get time and money back, which is a good thing for you. So
do you? Yes, right. The money is going to be great.
Yeah, your dinners are down to $12.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and she was a foodie too.
Okay.
But the deal was she picks, I pays. So it was like we never went to the same restaurant twice.
Okay.
Which was great. I was exposed to a whole lot of new food I would have never tried. But I'm gonna be eating at Burger King for a little while.
You
now.
get to chill, man. You get to do what you want.
Do you feel like there's a place in a comedy career come up? And this isn't necessarily a podcast that's all about talking about comedy, but do you feel like there's a place where you've reached a comfortability level where you can now be open to a relationship? Like the hustle is a little less over. You start featuring and headlining. You making more money. You're getting some TV spots.
Man, I told myself I wouldn't get married until I made it. It's taken a long time to make it.
Yeah.
So
the goalpost moves for making it, right? You achieve something you never thought you'd get, and then you're like, well, what else can I do?
Right. I mean, I think it's just a place of internal happiness. I think, I mean, and that's a juxtaposed position as a comedian, because you're not really happy with the world till we're, you know, standing up and speaking out or complaining and making that funny. But I mean, there's a place of peace that you enter in, and you're like, okay, I could take on a partner, and I mean, I think the good thing about being a comedian, it is a cheat code, because, like, you know, Emily Ratajkowski's dating fucking Eric Andre, and you know what I mean? Like,
oh right,
Pete Davidson dating Kim
everyone,
Kardashian. It's like, so it's like you get access. Funny's a cheat code, so it's like you have to find a place of happiness to get to. You know, a place where you're loving yourself to love a partner. So it's like, right, you know, so whenever you reach that place, but you know, get your shit out, you know, do what you got to do, and then once you settle down, I think that's when it's, you know, the best. Yeah.
Sorry, that's sparking like 8 questions.
Go ask them all 8.
Well, it's you know, my first thought would be like, for you specifically, not everybody in general, but like in that comedy journey. I don't know how I'm going to phrase this, and I edit this show, so I fucking make it look like I just thought.
Yeah, just quick-witted, like, damn, you guys all ate at the same time. I'm like, damn, he's quick.
I'm like, okay, remember all this. What's your cat's name? Where does your dad work? Yeah, I mean, from a relationship standpoint, like, does that, when you go into a relationship, do you tell them right off the bat, like, my whole goal is to be out of town every weekend?
No.
Or is that even a goal for you? I don't want to assume. I just
right. I try to tell them exactly where I am at that moment. You know, there was a point in time where I was like, I'm emotionally unavailable, and when I got a girl's number, I put emotionally unavailable, and just so they know where I was. Right. But of course, you know, you're going to try to shift that to available, or you know, categorize me as you can. But there is an adjustment, especially if you're a regular person working a regular job, and then, you know, nights are mine, or mentally I'll clock in for comedy. I'm just like kind of trained that way. At 5 o'clock, comedy clicks on. I'm like, okay, I need to go do something comedy related. Yeah. So, I mean, there's an adjustment factor, but as of late, man, maybe because I'm not getting booked as much, it's like I've just had my nights to myself. And there is a point in time in comedy where, and we talked Jeremiah Watkins, when I first got here, I saw him, and then he disappeared for a while, and he was doing comedy. It was just, he was in that middle stage of figuring shit out, and then he appeared, and then that's the Jeremiah we know. But there was he didn't quit, he didn't disappear. It was just, you got to go away to come back. Right. And I think that's where I'm at right now, where it's like I got to go away and then come back, and then I'll be a butterfly. But you start getting more time. You start realizing, like, okay, I don't need to hit mics. I don't have to like drive it all the way home now. I could let it be and let the game come to me. Yeah. And I think that's when you get a girlfriend or a boyfriend. So
whatever you want.
Yeah, whatever you want, man.
However you define.
Yeah.
Whatever your partner is. And you do the road now?
Not as often as I'd like. But yeah, I'm putting together a tour at the moment. I'll do like, I remember last year I would do like one headlining gig a month, and I was like, I need more. And now it's starting to get two. Like, I'm like, okay, but they're still just one-nighters, or just like random one-off type deals. It's not a consistent thing, but I'm working on building a tour with my manager now, which is cool.
Nice.
I was like, okay, I'm excited about that. We got some dates. We got the bookend, and so we're just trying to fill the gaps now. So
nice.
Yeah.
That's got to feel pretty good, right?
Yeah. You ever read Steve Martin's book?
I haven't read his book.
It's a really, really good book for a comedian to read, because he takes you through the anxieties of comedy. And I don't want to ruin it, but there's a part where he felt like his run was coming to an end in LA, and he's like, I don't know what to do next. And then you turn to chapter 6, and it's like the road, and you're like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And it was cathartic to like a comedian's soul, because everyone hit that point, whether or not you're, Richard Pryor and you're, on TV, doing this, and then you got to come back to be Richard Pryor or Jeremiah Watkins, or Carlin, whoever it is, you hit a point where you're like, oh, LA doesn't want me right now, and you go away, you come back. So,
yeah.
I think that's where I'm at.
I've seen it from so many different angles too, just from doing photography in the clubs, where it's like some guys just stay here and do spots, and then they fuck around with TV and commercials.
Yeah.
And then some people who were undiscovered to me have been out on the road doing C and B level rooms.
Yeah.
And working it with like a very small social media presence, but they're building it like an unsigned band. They're just like, I'm gonna come to this city, I'm gonna go to Phoenix, and then in 6 months I'm gonna come back to Phoenix, and there'll be 20 people, and the next time it'll be 40 people, and they're building it from the ground up. And I didn't even know that was an option. I thought you had to build your social media to a point where you could sell tickets.
It's getting to that point now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the first times I started going on the road, and it wasn't really the road, it's just going to other comedy cities,
right,
to find their scene, and then they'll let you headline their run of shows and pay you out. But I thought you needed permission, and I was like, okay.
And you do from yourself.
Yes, you have to give yourself permission.
Yeah.
And sometimes in LA, comics will do it too early, where they're just not funny, and then they're like, I'm in New York for 2 weeks, and then the New York comics see an LA comic, and they're like, oh, this guy fucking sucks, or this girl sucks. And then now LA comics got a bad rap. But there's a point where it's like, yeah, let me go see if I'm really fucking funny, and go bounce around from city to city and figure it out. Go test your comedy karate on other people.
Comedy karate. It's a different dojo every night.
Yeah, go to a different dojo and try out your moves.
Speaking of Jeremiah Watkins, he has a new crowd work clip where he had a Karen. And she's like, I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm not talking to you. Just go on with your little bits. And he's like, lady, this is my dojo.
Yeah.
And he's like, I've been judoing Karens like you my whole life.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Former door guy store?
La Jolla Comedy Store.
Really?
Yeah, I'm old school. So I started in San Diego. I was a door guy there, and I was in the Tommy era of things. So Tommy was the booker before Adam. I came up, and he gave me the option. He was like, you could, but you could also go this way. Like, you got options. And I turned it down, and then thought about it a couple times. And then during Adams, I played with the idea, and I just never became a door guy. But stores in my heart. There was a natural draw to it for whatever reason. I never learned about it growing up. I didn't know about it until I got to San Diego, and then it was just like, oh, I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah.
So,
do you have is comedy number one, and then acting and voiceover is like 2 and 3, or is it all kind of like you enjoy just being creative?
I these past years it's been comedy first. I'm slowly letting go of the idea of what order it needs to be in and what's going to get me to that place. But I remember Jamar Neighbor said this. He was like, I'm here for package A. Like, I want it all. Like, I'm trying to go movies, TV shows, commercials, voiceover, all, the whole shebang. So,
because anything outside of comedy, like a commercial or a voiceover gig or being in a movie, it all helps the brand.
helps the brand.
And because the ultimate goal is to sell the tickets.
Yeah.
And get the door deal.
Yeah.
So I think Andrew Santino is a great example of that. I think Adam Ray is a really great example of that.
Yeah.
On the sneak, like Adam's in everything.
Yeah.
And then he's on the road every weekend.
Plays piano or music.
Yeah.
So comics could do anything. That's the cool thing about us. And then when you get to LA, like I had no idea there was an industry, like I just thought I was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to get on stage. I'm going to do this. And then I'm like, oh, you get paid to write a script, or you get paid to press this button and do that. And I'm like, oh shit. And then I learned, other things that I like doing. Like I like I'm the composer.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like a Steve Jobs of things. I necessarily don't know how to write scripts all the way through, but I know how it's supposed to look, how it's supposed to sound, and
how you want it.
How I want it, and how a project's supposed to feel. So I've just learned that throughout the years. So it just varies in different order. But for most of my projects, I played 5 or 6 different roles.
Yeah, and that'll pay off. So before
it needs to pay off.
It will. And the way it'll pay off, other than monetary gains.
Yeah.
When you sell that show, one of the many projects you're working on that we're not going to specifically talk about, but when you sell that show and you become the showrunner, you'll go, fuck, I've never been a showrunner before. But then, yes, you have.
Yeah.
I know I got to surround myself with the best producers and the best camera people, and then a couple weeks into it, you'll be like, this is fucking easy.
Yeah.
I know how I want it to be. I got the outline for my script. Now I'm going to hire the best writers.
Yep.
If they ever come off strike.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. These strikes are fucking us up, man.
Oh, there's about to be another one.
Yeah. Honestly, comedians need to get our shit together and form a union and strike. But there's just too many scabs, if you will, that will just take the lesser. But yeah, we're accepting very low wages and a lot of disrespect. And when somebody walks away, it's almost like they hurt themselves doing it, because clubs don't care. They're just filling in with whatever.
I think Rogan's changing that slowly.
Yeah.
Have you been to the mothership yet?
I haven't, but I've heard wonderful things.
Yeah, I spoke to a guy who's now going down to Austin once a month.
Mm-hmm.
And the number that he told me he was paid for a 15-minute spot was what he also made the headline the other night in a local area place here. So he's like, I'm going to go down there and do like once a month. I'm going to go do 10 spots.
Yeah. That's
going to pay my rent there and here. I'm going to get a place there. So I think if other clubs don't catch up, then
they're out. This is their blockbuster Netflix transition.
Exactly. God forbid if Rogan decides to do a chain.
Yeah.
If Rogan becomes the improv, there won't be an improv.
No. And the crazy thing is, it could be done. Like I was talking to my guy who produces my shows. He's like, I'm concerned that this scale is going to fuck up everything. And I was like, we were doing this in San Diego. We were paying comics fairly, and it made the difference. And we both walked out with a decent amount of money at the end of the night. And it's like, everyone's happy. Even like with podcasts, it's like I was paying people to do podcasts, and it's like it could be done. It's just that whenever people get money, you spend so much time not getting money that when you do get money, you're like, I need to recruit. So,
and there's such a spirit of like financial insecurity in the comedy world before you get to, even at the feature level.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people know, but like features get what? Sometimes $100,
50 to 125. Yeah. It's not good.
All weekend, you still got to fly yourself there. So you're breaking even,
and you're working for the headliner. Yeah. So, and a lot of people don't realize that.
Oh, you got to rely on the generosity of the headliner. It's like, bruh, they still have a famine mentality.
Right.
They were trying to pay themselves back for all the years they didn't make any money.
Yeah.
And even though they're getting bonused out that weekend, it's still like,
yeah. And I feel like the comedy pay scale is there. It goes zero, and you make zero for a very long time, and then you'll make $85,000, and then $150,000
all at one time. And no one
all
teaches you how to spend it.
Nope. And then $150, $250, and then $1 million, and it's like you get 4 jumps.
Yep.
But yeah, no one teaches you how to get. I think Kurt Metzger said, "I get paid like a fisherman," and I was like, "That's
That's not bad. That's not bad. It's like Deadliest Catch. Once every 6 months, they just hand you a check for $1 million.
And then you go figure it out. And you got to go pay taxes and pay your LLC fees and all that bullshit.
And then later on in your career, you just start getting these residual checks, and you're like, Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I did do that movie 8 years ago that just got on Netflix.
Yeah.
I mean, not that Netflix pays residuals, but
I got that second round for that pirate commercial like maybe 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it was I was struggling. I was like, man, I don't know how to pay my rent. I got like a bunch of trash. You know when you get those coupons in the mail and you're like, this is trash. I threw it away and I saw an envelope. It was crumpled up. I was like, what is this? It was just unmarked. It was like Keith Johnson in pen. I opened it up and it was a check. And I was like, this covers next month.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, thank you.
and once you put your time in and you have enough of those things that could, I don't know if you're a religious person or maybe you believe in a higher power, but
yeah.
It just sometimes it just feels like after a long time, like you can just get blessed in the mailbox because you're like, you don't know how to keep track of when you're supposed to get an additional check from a project you did 8 years ago or 7 years ago. And then all of a sudden it's like, man, I could use a couple bucks. Bam.
Yeah.
Mailbox rings. And you're like, I needed it and it was perfect timing.
And here it is.
Yeah.
You gotta, be still enough to let the universe bless you. Because, I mean, as frustrated as I get with Hollywood, there are moments where I see the magic of it, and I'm like, this is why I'm here.
Yeah.
And it's, few and far between, but like when you do see it, you're like, okay, I'm motivated. Like my spirit is pure again, and I can keep moving. But like, there's just a lot of shit in between. But if you're still enough, you'll see it.
And there's a lot of, I don't want to say shitty people. It's just people who haven't really clarified their intentions yet.
Professional friends, that's what I call them.
Yeah.
They make you feel like they're your friend. They're not. And then you feel betrayed by them. And you're like, wait, and they're like, yeah, I just kept it moving. And I try to be a little more authentic. Like, just remember a person, and it's like we'll build the relationship over time.
Yeah.
And, like all the people who are helping me, I met year one or just like through mics, and we just stayed in contact and we have a genuine friendship. So even if I don't see them all the time, it's still genuine. But the fucking fake professional friends, like I try to like stay clear of them. Like I hate that.
Yeah. It happens the same way in the film business. Like everyone that I was a production assistant with now was 15 years ago. Now they're all producers and executive producers.
Yeah.
So it's people look at me, they're like, oh, you just get jobs from your friends. I'm like, yeah. I do, because we spent 15 hours locking up downtown Los Angeles in 07.
Yeah.
Like it's a really good buddy of mine told me that like LA is all about relationships.
Yeah.
And
real relationships.
Yes. So what I try and do now, and I'm just navigating my way through comedy. I navigated it through photography, right? And everybody wants to be nice to the photographers. There's only 5 of us.
Yeah.
Because they're getting free pictures. But then when you tell everybody you're a comic, you can really see who they are. Yeah. Because the first thing is they're going to ask me for a spot.
Yeah.
They're not going to say it. You can see it in the back of their head. And then I guess what I was trying to drive at is now when I interact with people, I want to be kind to everyone, which is not my natural state.
Yeah.
I'm a very sarcastic asshole.
Right.
So I'm trying to navigate being kind to new friends or new acquaintances, without being my fake self.
Right.
So I want to be authentic, like you mentioned earlier, but I also want to be kind because I want people to like me. But
you still want to be an asshole. You could be that. My
Can
favorite
you be
people
a
are
kind
assholes.
asshole?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to figure out right now. It's like I don't have to be, because I find myself promising a lot of shit.
Yeah.
People come up to me and they're like, "Oh, can you come shoot my show?" And I'm like, I want to be like, no, but I want to say yes because I want more comedy opportunities.
Right.
And now I'm feeling bold enough to be like, yeah, I'll shoot for a spot. And if they're like, ooh, I'm like, well,
yeah,
I'm going to be working for 3 hours. You don't have 5 minutes?
Right.
So I was hoping that was going to drive me to another question for you, but that was just me sharing a little bit.
No, I feel that. I think, that's the balance of like feeling you have to be nice and have to be this people pleaser. And then you get to a point where you're like, well, then I'm just like changing up who I am to like for people who don't really give a fuck about me. And then you just get burned enough times where you're like, I'm done with this. And you just become your authentic self. So
yeah,
like,
and I see headliners they're shifting the polar opposite, right? It's like I had to kiss so much ass when I was coming up. Now I'm a headliner. I don't have to kiss no ass. And it's just very direct and very bold.
And then they become monsters. And those are, I think a good example of like somebody who's just a straight shooter is Roy Wood Jr.
I love him.
I'll give you a story about him. I helped him out as a camera operator on his show.
Okay.
I needed a guest for my show, which was 2 days later. We shared a producer. she told him like, oh yeah, the guy who's running camera who helped out filled in for you. We just need a show. He stepped in, just did it off of GP, and I was like, that's a guy that like is respectable. I only hear good things about him.
Yeah.
And then you see these monsters who don't have as much leverage as him, and they're just treating people like shit. And it's like you could be an asshole. You don't have to treat people like shit. You could hold your your standards of what you expect and your quality of work, but you don't have to down talk people because comedy is a weird thing too, where the nerds kind of run comedy and the cool guys are kind of in the back burner and they get bullied. And it's like, in real life, I'll just beat you up. But it's like,
no, it's like sometimes you're like,
why am I letting this happen?
why are you speaking to me like that? Like, that I'm not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
But if I didn't know you, and I don't want to threaten violence and get flagged on YouTube, but like, it is a different world from when we were younger.
Yeah, for sure. But it's I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, when you're the showrunner, you find people who you respect. You find people who, who you've worked with, who you've seen under pressure, who you've seen, hot-headed, calm, and just like, you trust. So, I mean, slowly but surely, these guys and girls are just, they're going to just fall by the wayside because of how they treat people, or they're just too nice. But, yeah, I think that's just the era we're in now. It's getting back to like, we don't need to cancel people. We just need to get rid of the wrong people,
exactly,
and let the right people get in control. And comedy will be a better place. But
do you have an exit plan? Like, do you want to move somewhere else, or is LA home for now?
Man, I heard about like Aziz living in London, and I like that idea.
Yeah.
That was a place where I gave myself permission to go. Like, I went to London for a month. I was like, I'm just going to stay here and figure out the scene, and it was just a great time. But
how long ago was that?
2018.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was like finding my footing with my first like good ABC set of like my introduction set. And I was like, let me just see how I would do in another country. And I went to London, and I was like, oh, my shit's airtight, so I'm good. But
did you get extra laughs for having an American accent?
Yeah. So being an American, black, biracial, deep voice guy, that's cool. That's money out there, man.
Send it.
Yeah.
Like the Jim Jeffries of England.
Yeah. So like, when they hear like a British accent here, they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's this there.
In
so
reverse, yeah.
But they have like a good middle class of comedy there where, you would be like, we'd be making 100,000. Like right now, we'd be making 100,000 from comedy, just living, just because most of the comics there are middle class.
Wow.
And I mean, they just, I don't know if they unionize, but they all make a decent wage every time.
It's a career.
It's a career.
Wow.
You could just, be a regular comedian. You got a house, you got a family.
Yeah.
It's definitely interesting. So,
because you got to hit such a level here.
Yeah.
Like, so you don't have to be a household name. You could just be a working.
You could just be a regular. Yeah.
Wow.
Just.
That's nuts, because it feels like if there's a better opportunity in New York to make a living.
Yes.
Because you can hit 8 spots a night that all pay $50 or whatever.
Right.
But here,
yeah, I'm hoping it shifts, but just like you said, like if the Rogan platform, or if more people just stop being greedy, there's platforms right now that like you go to the show, it's packed out, you do the math, you're like, this is a $4,000 show, we're only getting paid $50.
Right.
The math's off.
Math is off,
and
that's just ticket sales, right? Because we're not talking about 2 drinks and the French fries and the chicken wings.
Exactly. So if they just bump it up, there's a timesheet from Chappelle when it was like 89, and he was a feature. Mm-hmm. He was getting paid $75.
Wow,
which is exactly what we get paid today.
Yeah, that's funny because we still pay production assistants. When I started in 06, it was $200 a day.
Yeah,
that day could be 7 hours. That day could be 15 hours. During COVID, they bumped it to $250.
Yeah, and there's a lot of money in production.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a PA, I had to take a check to the bank for like $400,000, and I was like, oh, and that was just for a trip for them. But yeah, I was like, damn, there's a lot of money.
first in, last out, work all day, and then at Rap, the producer is going to take the client on a commercial.
Yeah.
They're going to take the client out to like a $6,000 sushi dinner.
Yeah.
And you're like, you know what it costs to live in Los Angeles? And their producers are running into this now. I get calls all the time. Do you know any PAs? Do you know any PAs? I'm like, yeah, they all moved out.
Yeah.
Like, it ain't worth it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when there's the whole, like, you can't find good help these days. It's like, well, everybody reevaluated life and how they want to spend their time.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I'm going to trade my day for money, I need to make enough money to live on my off time. Mm-hmm. That's the whole thing about commercial rates for crew being higher. Mm-hmm. It's to keep us from going and taking a television show or a movie.
Yeah.
We're trading security
Right.
for a higher elevated wage because we only work 2 days a week.
Yeah.
But they need us to stay available.
Right.
I think I'm just hammering down this point. I think I already made it. But, like, I don't know. It's weird to me that commercials almost completely halt when the writers go on strike.
Yeah. I mean, I've had to turn down like 2 or 3 auditions, and I don't want to, but like the rates went down from, like, they're already low, so like they're like, okay, this commercial pays $3,000, it's non-union. Those same non-union ones are now like $700, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
Not for a whole day.
No, it doesn't make sense. I'm not, because I mean, I was cool being a pirate. I'm like, I'm willing to play the game.
Yeah.
But if I'm a fucking potato chip for $700, and I'm like, eat Lay's potatoes, I'm like, man,
That lives forever.
Yeah, and it's already. If I didn't like that commercial, I would be embarrassed by it. But like,
And then when they play your Lifetime Achievement Award, it's like, you were a fucking potato chip.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he really worked his way up. It's
Right.
Like, man, I did 10 years, 15 years of comedy before I was a potato chip.
yeah.
And
So
they memorialize all the stuff, or like when you find like George Clooney did background work that one time.
Yeah.
They play that shit. So people are like, what? People at home, like Midwest, whatever, East Coast, are like $700 for one day. It's like, yeah, but it's not just one day.
Yeah.
You got to live with that.
it's perpetuity, and I mean, ironically, I mean, Chappelle spoke about that with Chappelle Show, the second round, when Netflix put it back on. But I kind of feel like we're in this era right now with comedy where it's post Chappelle Show, and we're in the Mind of Mencia type era where we have to survive this drought. We have to survive, the decisions that these comedy clubs are making. They have choices. In my opinion, they're making the wrong choices. It's going to dry out the scene. It's going to dry out LA.
Yeah.
But that's where, the big dogs, the Patrices, the Burrs, and, the Trails are going to cook up and become, the new versions of what this new landscape is going to look like. But
and they're starting to become their own networks.
yeah.
So like Louis C.K. is producing other people's specials. I forgot his name. Bald guy, glasses, New York fella. Louis C.K. just produced his special.
Okay.
Put it out on his website. They sold it.
Nice.
And it's doing numbers, and he's making good money.
Yeah.
Robert Kelly.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think that's great. Like if Burr can sell out a baseball stadium in Boston, he can now be a Netflix type for comedy.
Right. And I mean, he's done that. I mean, a couple of my friends did The Ringer, which is like a Bill Burr endorsed show. Yeah. Kevin Hart's doing the same thing. I was under his umbrella, but I see them as like Viacom, and then you'll have like 4 different channels. So like the Andrew Schultz is going to be a network.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're going to have channels under that. And it's like, yeah, I think that's the way, because Viacom's, killing Comedy Central because they're not letting them choose what they want. Yeah. They're getting greedy with it. But
I mean, I can't imagine why Comedy Central is going to last much longer. I think South Park is its only flotation device right now. And as soon as they're done wanting to make that, that's why they locked them in for 13 years, or was it 13 feature-length episodes or films or whatever? They're like, I think Viacom was like, if we want to keep Comedy Central, we need to make Matt and Trey super happy.
And I mean, it's not, I understand they're getting like corporate pressure, but it's just, they play it safe every time. They'll have the golden ticket, and then they just go opposite of it. And you're just staring at it, and you're like, what the fuck? Why are you picking these people? But it's reflective of, I mean, the industry as a whole. But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah. But you mentioned Schultz earlier. I talk about him nonstop on this show because I believe that the model of like surrounding yourself with a team, but also shining the spotlight on them and bringing them up with you. Yeah. And then it's like multi-level marketing, kind of like you rise up, they rise up. Yeah. So like your shooter, if he wants to be a comic, now he's your opener and your shooter, and then he gets a shooter, and then they get a shooter. And like by shooter, I mean photographer or videographer. Yeah. But and there's other ways to be on the squad. You don't just have to do But it does start to feel like if you don't have any skills in editing or videography, like the other way that we get paid is monetizing our social media. And then that pressure of like, oh, I got to put out some content today. I got to keep the beast happy. But do you, as far as like paralleling to Schultz, do you have your team in your head like built out, or like when you go on the road, do you take a shooter, or is it like you shoot yourself?
So I was like anti-social media until literally 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
I fought
Welcome
it.
back.
I fought it for a very long time. I like curating what I post. And I think it's just because my friends are in the industry, and then I have friends who are like social media gods, if you will.
Yep.
And I'm in between, and I'm like, ugh. I'm listening, and I'm like, man, you post every day, and it's uncomfortable to watch. And then I see these guys making a lot of money in the industry, and I'm like, you don't post at all. And so I for a while, I had a conversation with my manager. I was like, I don't want to post. And she was like, okay. And then maybe like 2 weeks ago, I had a conversation with a comic named JB Ball, and he was like, have you seen Moneyball? Speaking of baseball. And, he was like, this is where the underdogs get their fair shake. He's like, watch it. And he's like, I'm going to do as many videos as I can for about 2 months, and I'm going to see what the jump is. If it works, it works. And I watched the movie, and I was like, okay, let me get my shit together and post. And luckily, I had enough depth to play the game without having to be like, hey guys, I'm Keith, and doing these weird front-facing videos. But
I think the podcast world is the leveling playing field.
Yeah,
that's where the money really is.
Because you get to put like, now I'm like, oh, I just go through my podcast. I got like 8 clips in one episode that I could just post, and it's like cool.
And those will do numbers.
Yeah,
you put the longer ones on TikTok because TikTok's pushing the long shit now.
Okay.
Put the short ones on Instagram.
Okay.
YouTube. Every time you post a short on YouTube,
fires up. Like I'll check. I'm like, oh shit, this is 1,000 views already. So yeah.
And your show's new, right? Like 4 or 5 episodes?
Relatively new.
So YouTube just came out. This is inside baseball shit. I cut it out. But YouTube just started their own podcast platform. So there's a new way to re-SEO it. Like you're putting it out as like the way that you would tag it for just your audio episodes.
Okay.
So if you want to sit down sometime, I'll show you how to like target optimize YouTube for your podcast.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely need to learn how to play that game, because I do feel like I have the content, and it felt like, speaking of religion, it was like comics would walk up to me like, hey Keith, you need to be putting your shit on Instagram, and I'm like, all right, whatever. And I'm like, okay, God sent enough people to me for me to hear that message.
Right, yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I'll do it. And
it's like the old joke where there's a guy and he's lost at sea. He's drifting, and he's like, God, save me. And a boat comes by. He's like, no, God's going to save me. And another boat comes by. No, God's going to save me. Third boat comes by.
Yeah.
He fucking drowns. He gets to heaven. He goes, God, why didn't you save me? He's like, I sent you 3 fucking boats.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got the message.
Yeah.
But the thing, I was just talking to Justin Foster last night. We were driving back from San Diego, and it's like, I see my path now as like somebody who had to spend so much time learning the social media game that now I want to like help as many comedians as I can. It just takes me 2 hours to go like, here's how to re-optimize this.
Yeah.
Here's how to like, here's your posting schedule. And I'm not trying to start a social media company. I'm not trying to be a social media consultant.
Just skip the code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I learned it, and it's like, hey guys, come on. Like this is how you do it for comedy.
Right.
And people are like, well, what makes you know about it? You ain't shit. Your show's small. And I'm like, okay, check back in 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked on 7 of the biggest comedy podcasts in the world. I know how they did it, and I took it, and I'm doing it on this show. It's working. So I just want to share.
Yeah, and those drives back from San Diego, that's where you make the real friends. Like,
that's right.
Most of my friends, I'm like, yeah, let's go down to San Diego, drive together. That drive back, you both maybe ate shit or did well. And you're like, or one of y'all ate shit, one of y'all did well. You're like, all right,
somebody's quiet. Somebody's talking a lot.
Yeah, and then that truth starts to come out, and you're like, all right, we're not so different, you and I. And then, yeah.
I was fortunate enough to go to San Diego with someone that I've been on the road with, and we, as a shooter, he was a feature, and we shared a room. So it would be late night, like, just like, oh, and he helps me work on my jokes because I'm so new. And try this. He gave me my hottest punchline, and every time, right before I say it, I'm like, God damn it, fuck you, Justin. And then I say it, and the whole room pops. And I'm like, that's the only pop I got tonight. Was something I didn't even write. Yeah, but sometimes you get a gift from people. And
and see, Justin's one of those guys who are like just low key with it. We used to go to this mic called Hyperion Tavern. He was the bartender. Had no idea he did comedy. I had no idea he was like 10 years deep in comedy. I'm like, oh shit, you're this guy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, this makes sense. But all he did was open up his job so there could be a mic so we could all get better together.
Right.
He'll do a spot, and then that's all. That's all it is. Is like just sharing the code. But so many people are stingy with the code.
Yeah.
And then the wrong people are giving it to the wrong people, and it's like the right people just need to give it to the right people.
Yeah.
That's what we need to fight. But
yeah. And there's an undertone in the podcast community of like bigger shows are hiring young cats fresh out of school because they've been playing with YouTube and they know a little bit about camera, they know a little bit about sound, they know a little bit about clip and stuff, but nobody's grabbing like veterans from the film business to go like, oh, I want to make the best show possible.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going with this either, but we could shift some gears.
you guys stay young.
Yeah, I feel I dress and look like
I looked down, I was like, oh, you're cool.
I wear this every day.
Yeah.
Anytime you see me, I'm wearing white shoes, black on black.
So I've been wearing these pants for a minute now, and I'm like, I like these.
They look comfortable.
Thank you, man.
I gotta
cool.
switch it up because the holes in the knees aren't that great for the show. But
Yeah.
I used to sit behind a desk last season, like Conan style.
Uh-huh.
And I stored that desk for like 6 months to get it in here.
Uh-huh.
And then I had a 1 week gap between when my storage unit and this place was available. I just had to let the desk go. But
now the knees are showing.
Now
Man.
the
Skin
knees are
shows.
showing.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's how you get the numbers up, man. People like knees.
That's right.
There's people with knee fetishes out there.
Socks.
Yeah.
Got to make sure my sock game's on point.
Yeah, that's good. See,
Yeah.
I go barefoot. There's I didn't realize this. I thought it was a joke at first, but like Annie Letterman would like cover her feet with the censorship.
Oh, yeah. It started as a joke, but it's real.
It's real.
Uh-huh.
People screenshot comics' feet and then upload it. I'm like, holy shit, y'all are really getting harassed here. Why didn't y'all say anything? You fucking weirdos.
Last season, I had Jade Catapreda on.
Uh-huh.
And she sat in that chair, different room, but she had no socks or shoes on. Mm-hmm. And she stuck her foot at the camera like this, and I tagged Wiki Feet in the SEO. And that you can see it on the analytics. It's 0 watch time until the part where she shows her feet, and then it spikes exponentially for the 2 minutes where you can see her feet, and then it goes back down.
Yeah.
There's people get rated on their feet.
Yeah. She's got Brazilian feet. That was probably a top-notch foot right there.
It's quality.
Yeah.
Very quality.
Yeah.
Have you been to Brazil?
No. I've heard. I heard it's a great place, so.
And you are your ethnicity or your background
Korean and black.
Korean.
Yeah.
Have you been to Korea?
I haven't. I'm double displaced. So my Korean family grew up in Kansas and my black side grew up in Florida. So
Okay.
yeah, just
Don't see that coming.
Yeah,
bro.
military related, but yeah, I'm very Americanized.
Okay.
So,
Do you have any desire to go to Korea?
yeah, that might circle back on that question. I might disappear for a year and just go live in the mountains of Korea and then work at a shop and get yelled at by like an ajumma and have her yell at me and learn Korean the hard way. And
Right.
yeah, that's one of my goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My sister's been studying Korean for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's gonna maybe move to Italy.
Okay.
I mean, what you gonna do with all that Korean
Right.
in Italy?
Little misdirection, keep people on their toes. You
Yeah.
know, you got to do that sometimes. But yeah, I'd be down to live in Korea for a little bit.
Do you ever watch anything in Korean on Netflix?
No, I've been getting into some Korean movies, but not like Train to Busan and all that. But nothing. I had a theory about Parasite. The
Okay.
people who lived in the basement, I think they're North Korean, because North Koreans are smaller. And there's a moment where they were looking at a calendar and they started like, oh, da-da-da-da-da. And that's how North Koreans are with Kim Jong. Like they'll bow down and worship pictures of him. I was like, are they North Korean defectors that ended up moving in?
Right.
But I don't know. That's just a little
That's
conspiracy theory.
I mean, that's an interesting take on it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the whole film, so
Okay.
I can't really. I gotta finish it.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's a very strange
I mean,
movie.
it won everything. Right?
Yeah.
That's 2 years back to back. It was Parasite, and then this year was like everything all the time, all
that's
at
a
once.
good ass movie. Man.
I haven't seen that either.
Man, I was at first it's like silly, but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Got to do something weird to get to your ultimate timeline heightened, space where you could just
Yeah.
do whatever you want. But yeah,
Do you have something a project that you can talk about that's like down the road, like 10 years from now, I want to make like this trilogy anthology about this? Do you have a story that you want to put out there one day?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of babies. One being called Displaced, which is, the origin story of because like I'm a product of war, even though I don't think I am, but it's like, my grandfather was in Korea because of the war. Then my dad was in the military, and then my mom was a military kid. So like there's a lot of displacement here, and they're not even talking about like the black side, which is slavery and all that shit. So it's just like a lot of things here that made me what I was.
Yeah.
The only person who had a similar story was like I don't mean to like make it weird, but like Obama, like where he's like he grew up in Hawaii. I lived in Hawaii. He has grandparents in Kansas. So I'm like, that's such a unique parallel that I do want to unpack. I don't know what the tone will be because comedy is shifting in so much, but it's in my head. I have I have a couple of ideas that I'd like to just get out and just make it good.
That's got to give you like an exceptionally unique point of view.
Yeah, I was listening to myself and I was like, I'm almost like I'm like a Democratic Republican in a sense where I'm just like when I come off as like very pro-American, people are off put by it, but I'm like, oh no, this is just how I am. Like,
right.
Like my dad was in like the Pentagon during 9/11. Like, there's a lot of weird shit that's happened in my life where I'm like, yeah, I'm just American, bro. It's just like cut from the fuck. Yeah.
That's what I find a lot is like, because we travel a lot. And we see this interesting cross section of America, and people are so fucking polarized.
Yeah.
A or B, and you got to pick a side of the fence, red or blue. And it's like, well, I can like a little bit of red, and I can like a little bit of blue.
Yeah.
And just because I put an American flag in my front yard doesn't mean I'm going to vote for somebody.
Right.
And I could like a little bit. It's just so weird that people are polarizing, and you could say a word in a group of people, and half of them boo and half of them cheer. And you're like, y'all need to chill out,
right?
And just talk to each other. Like,
it
doesn't have to be like this.
Going back to Florida, you see like how California I was like, oh, I need to balance out a little bit. But like even during COVID, both of those states were on the opposite ends of the spectrum of their approach towards how to handle COVID, but both were necessary. One is like, I don't think it exists, and the other one is like, it exists and it's real. And but then you go to Florida. I remember I went to Florida mid-COVID. We went to a strip club, and I'm like, bro, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I didn't catch COVID.
Right.
Oh, I could lighten up in California. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, hey man, y'all need to take this a little more serious.
I think the best way to live in LA is to get out of LA as much as you can.
Yeah.
And I think that's true of anywhere.
Yeah.
But not everybody has the opportunity. We're very fortunate to be able to travel.
I think people do. I mean, they're of course financially, but like a lot of people are stuck because they don't give themselves permission.
Right.
And they'll have, oh no, I don't have money. And it's like, just pull the trigger. It'll unwind itself, and then you'll end up, getting a check in the mail that'll cover your rent. And you're like, yeah. But there's so many times where I didn't pull the trigger, and I'm like, man, I should have just went.
Yeah.
Every time it's worth it. There's never a time where I'm like, I think I should do this, and my instinct is telling me, where it's failed me and I've taken an L. It's always worked. When I force it, that's when I take L's. But
I'm glad you said that last part, because I was about to say I go to Vegas all the time.
Yeah.
And I always feel like it pays off. But that was in my phase, like when I first started doing well in the film business. Not like Ferrari's well, but like I grew up not poor, but like we didn't have any money.
Yeah, you had some walk around money.
Yeah, when I had my, I had a couple nickels to rub together. I was like, well, I'm going to go to Vegas because I don't deserve this, so I'm just going to give it back. So then I was like, well, now it's fun. Now I like this. Now I can afford it. Now they're giving me free rooms. Now I got a host. And then I looked at my finances and I was like, the reason you don't have a house in Los Angeles is because you're going once a month to Vegas and giving up a house note. So I had to deal with like feeling worthy of the money.
Yeah.
And then I lost that career to comedy.
Right.
That was a bad payoff. I didn't really lose it. It just, people started seeing that I was going on tour more than I was being on film sets. And I changed my name. I rebranded on my social media. So all my producers were like, what happened to Isaac, old name?
I went through a rebrand too, man. I used to be Keith Soul, like Korea, but then I just went back with my name. And But yeah, everyone needs a good rebrand, man.
Dude,
You know?
I think it should be mandatory.
Yeah.
Well, actually, nothing should be mandatory. I don't want anybody to tell anybody else what to do. But like, I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, my friend just moved here from San Diego. So it's the guy who showruns Eric, and I was like, bro, you get to do whatever you want now. It's like you get a fresh start. If you want to wear a hoop earring, wear a hoop earring, bro.
Yeah.
If you want to paint your nails, paint your nails. Do whatever you want to do, because it's like it's a fresh start, and we don't get those often. Like you get it in high school, being a freshman, and then maybe college, or if you move. But like,
the first job,
fucking rebrand,
right?
Like shift, get in as long as the rebrand is aligned in alignment with who you are as a person. It's cool, man. If you want to have a little flair, just to be like, I got a spoiler on my life now,
And even if you don't move cities and you feel stuck,
change it up.
just go like, today I'm a new person. Every day is a new day.
Kanye said, 50 said, go ahead, switch your style up, and if they hate, then let them hate and watch the money pile up. You know what I mean? So, just rebrand. But also, like, you going from production to creative in comedy is like you're just using both sides of your brain. And there will be a day where you get to be both. Like you said, the showrunner, where you're like, oh, this is my show and I'm doing this. Which is just a greater version of what you're already doing. So
that's how I tell which comics to fuck with.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I think 15, 16 years in the film business is going to help me in comedy. They're like, doesn't count. You got to start over. I'm like, we'll see.
Yeah, and those are the people who yell at the gaffer, and you're like, oh, you have no idea what the fuck he does.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm like, until you've had to tape a fucking floor and sit and do fire watch and watch a fucking camera for an hour, you don't know. Like, you don't know what these guys are going through.
Those are the same people that say work hard, play hard, but they've never done a 14-hour day.
Yeah.
6 days in a row.
Yep. So
I laugh at those folks.
It all comes into play.
It does.
Yeah. And now that I'm like producing my own shows, like there's moments where I want to spaz out, and I'm like, you've been here before, bro.
That's right.
Keep it cool.
Yeah.
And then find the best decision and make it, and then live with it.
The two best quotes I ever got in the film business, one elevated me from a second AD to a first AD, and I got it from some massive commercial first AD. He said, lead like a coach. Because I was not leading like a coach.
Yeah.
I was leading out of ego.
Yeah.
And if you don't do what I say, you're telling me I don't know what I'm doing. And now it's like, hey guys, here's what I think we should do.
Yeah.
If anybody has a better idea, let's hear it, because the goal for all of us is to get home. That's it. I just want to get everybody home safe to their families. We can all eat dinner. And now people are like, guys 30, 40 years in the business are like, hey man, if you switch this for this, we can get out of here an hour early. I'm like, thank you.
Yep. And it looks better.
Yeah. And before I was like, no, we're going to do it my way.
Yeah.
And that's just, and the second thing I heard, and I don't know if I got this, I don't know where I got it from. I want to say it was Gary Vee, but I doubt it. When the team fails, it's the coach's fault. And I took that on like, because it was always like, oh, I was starting to blame people. My ego wanted to go, well, it couldn't possibly be me. I'm perfect.
Yeah.
But once I started taking like, oh, that's my fail. That's my fail. Then the team would go, he's not trying to rep like he's perfect. And then you get more grace.
Right.
And I thought that was, man, those two things changed my whole career.
Yeah, man. I had a friend who had all ego on the way up. And I mean, he's in a different industry, but he was just shooting at people on the way up, and his business crashed, and everybody watched him, and they enjoyed it, and they're like, "Yep, you're gonna lay here
within arm's reach to help."
Yeah.
They were like,
And
"I'm
they're like,
not
nah,
gonna piss
bro.
on you if you're on fire."
Right. And it's like, as his friend, we're helping him up, but it's like in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, bro, this is on you, dog, and I hope you learn. But who knows if they will or not. But yeah, man, if a lot of people don't know how to take L's, a lot of people don't know how to make decisions as a group, but like, I mean, I think that's one of the perks of like, the diversity push, if you will. You're getting great minds from different people, or different cultures, so you're going to get the best idea possible. So like, listen to other people, and then like find the best solution, and then run with it.
Yeah. Are you a decisive decision maker?
I'd like to say so. I was going to say that's the thing I hated in production, is when the PAs are standing around because the EP won't make a decision, and I'm sitting there like, it's this way. Let's do it. And if we're wrong, we'll fucking fix it.
Right.
But they're just scared, and I'm like, just do it.
Yeah.
And so I started to do it, and that's how I got moved up. And I was like, yeah, I just made a decision. If it's wrong, I will fix it.
Did we work together on set? Did you do commercials?
No, I was in non-reality. I worked on Kardashians. That was my thing. But
Gotcha.
yeah, I got to watch it all and see egos and non-egos and who had the ego and who didn't.
Yep.
Yeah, not who you thought would, but
Right. Yeah.
So
It's always some of the people that represent themselves. I'm talking about cast members.
Yeah.
Some people represent themselves as their character on camera, and then it's cut. And they're like, "Man, please have a juice." And you're like, yeah, sure. What flavor? Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
What? Like
They're just
TMZ
chill.
would tell you that like, oh, they'll light you on
This person's a
fire.
monster.
Yeah.
You're like, nah, man, they were chill.
Yeah, it just feeds the brand.
Yeah.
How long did you do? Was it non-scripted reality?
Yes. Maybe about 3 years, and then I'll occasionally get a freelance story editing job. But I learned editing from that, and it was just from me being like, hey, I do comedy. How can I make money, but still, learn something for my craft? And they're like, get into editorials, and that way you have control of everything you do, because if I'm on set, then I'm not doing comedy. So like, once I found the editing bay, and I'm like, oh, y'all don't do shit. They do a lot, but they don't do shit.
I mean, there's a lot of this.
Yes,
a lot of mental work and creativity. And I found over the years, as I've been forced to edit stuff, is that the quality of your edit is just your bag of tricks. And I think that parallels with comedy.
Yeah. So
the more tricks you learn about transitions and lower thirds, and like blending stuff together, and then sound mixing, and like you become this really amazing editor. And I think the same is with comedy. It's like, oh, now I know how to do crowd work. Now I know how to rule the thirds. Now and I think there's a lot of parallels. I think learning how to edit, I think benefits you in all kinds of ways.
You could make so much bland shit funny just from adding a look. Like I saw a Rick Glassman clip yesterday, and he's going off on love, and then they pan to the comic, and he just keeps making eye contact with the camera, and I'm like, that was fun. That was just the editor. It had nothing to do. I mean, Rick Glassman was on a run, but like it was the editor and Rick locked in, and him being like, okay, I know how to make this funny. I saw what Rick was doing, but like I think Chris Rock said the funny's in the cut.
Yep.
You could stretch something, and then you'll find little tricks to this turned into a production.
Sure. It's fine.
Podcast, but
all of season 1 was like Steadicam guys and like techno crane dudes.
Yeah.
And like, it was all production people and comics. And then season 2 was mostly comics. But I think this season I just want to talk to good people about more than just like, where did you start comedy? Like,
Right. But yeah, man, I went through it, and at first I didn't understand why, but then as I've progressed, I'm like, oh, I have control over what I'm making. I have like, I know in my head like what my baby shows are, where I'm gonna like curate. I know how to make what I'm doing now great.
That's one of the ways I blew up my YouTube channel. I was taking other pods and I was changing what they were saying. Like when Tom Segura gave Bert Kreischer Hitler's teacup, I flipped that whole thing around and I made Bert say all the things that you think he would say. That blew up my channel a little bit.
Yeah.
But when I hear a big podcaster go, oh, the internet's going to get a hold of this one, I want them to think about my face.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I better be careful. What could Isaac do with this clip if he could work it around? But I don't want that to be what I'm known for.
Right.
But I want to be a threat.
Yeah. That's the power of like trusting your producer. You can manipulate something, you can make it funnier. Most of my clips are me just building a puzzle and looking at it and just being like, okay, how can I make this funnier? Because this is funny, but I butchered this word. I did this.
I like to splice. Like if I'm thinking of something when I'm making a clip, I like to put a movie quote in.
Yeah.
I'll pull a movie off of YouTube, throw it in there, and then it just spices it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like this is kind of a bland clip, but I can like throw Jim Carrey saying something in there. And I mean, they get flagged all the time, but it's worth it.
Yeah,
because people think they're funny.
It's definitely worth it. And then I've been playing with like little loops where I'm making the Instagram joke loop, and I'm like, all right, I'm getting better at this. I'm learning how to do it.
Because the loop is the key. Because when people don't know when it stops, they watch it more than one time, and that just blows up the algorithm.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Louis started. It was his gift and curse. Louis and Schultz are going to be who we hate and love, because Louis took creative control and edited all his shit, shot all of his shit, and now we have to edit. And you're like, fuck, man.
Thanks, Louis.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then now we're like, oh, we have creative control, but I have to write the shit. I have to host it. I have to be in it. I have to, do 10 more things. But
it's a lot.
Hopefully the payout will be worth it.
Yeah, that is, to be fair, on a network level, you get a check for each one of those jobs.
Yeah, that's true.
So when we're making sketches, it's like, all right, I got to go get some snacks and I got to shoot this camera and then I'm going to edit it. But like later on, it's like Louis did all those jobs and he got the directing check, he got the executive producer check, he got the editing check, and he didn't necessarily need it. He just wanted the control and he enjoyed editing.
Yeah.
But if you take on all those jobs, you're getting like 9 full-time paychecks.
Yeah.
Which,
I did the math. I was like, yeah, my net worth should be pretty fucking high when I'm done with this. But
yeah,
I'm still at that. Okay, just hustle out and you'll get paid eventually. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I think there's gonna be a huge influx of like shows that get purchased in once the strike is over, because all them dudes are just sitting around writing at home.
Yeah,
but I think they're not the only ones. I think a lot of people went, oh, the writers are striking, I'm gonna write now.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a gap in the streaming services in 6 to 8 months. There's not been any new shit on TV for fucking 3 months because it's going to take them 8 months to catch up. But I hope you sell your shit.
Yeah, me too, man. I think there's a window I could jump through, and I think if we get the pieces correct and it looks good, I think we'll be in the door. Because even if the writer strike lasts long, like the shows that I'm talking about, Culture Court or On Site, they're like TV variety, so they're not necessarily scripted.
Yeah,
and you could go through a different window.
Those will sell quicker too.
Yeah, which is non-reality started from the first writer strike. So I think there's going to be a variety show that starts from this writer strike, and it's like,
is that how it happened?
Yeah.
09, the writer strike happened, and then people were like, "Fuck it, we'll just shoot. Everybody just living their lives."
And then
wow.
And then when you see how it's blocked off, how they actually do scenes, it's basically improv. So they'll be like, okay, Keith, go in there and confront Isaac. And you're like, Isaac, why'd you do this? And then they're like, okay, I could be funnier. Let me run it back.
Yeah.
And then they'll find, the synergized piece, and then that's what it is. And it's like, and then it's chopped up it's written backwards. So then the editors write it.
Yep.
Find those hot lines and then build the show. Like,
there was a scripted show about unscripted TV.
I remember that.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
I think it was loosely based on The Bachelor.
That
was a good show.
I watched, inside baseball, you're like, okay, I like this. It gets juicy, man.
I mean, for those people at home that have never been on a reality set, it's like there's a sound guy, camera guy, and a story producer that follow a character or two around. And then the producers are talking to each other on the walkies. But the cast doesn't necessarily hear everything.
No.
But they're feeding shit. It's like, Keith, did you hear that Isaac just said that you were a piece of shit?
Yeah.
Where is he? I want to talk to him right now.
Yeah.
And they're just poking the bear all day long.
Yeah. There's a lot of manipulation going on, or like ways to be the man behind the curtain.
Yeah. I just watched a documentary on the Duggars. Do you remember the Duggars? 19 Kids and Counting?
Yeah.
That shit. I don't want to spoil it for anybody at home, but it's... you cannot have 19 perfect kids.
No.
There's going to be problems.
Yeah. Even with 2, one's going to be weird.
You got a 50-50 shot at having a weirdo.
Yeah.
And they had a couple.
19 kids. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's scary. What's funny is like I'm not afraid of doing anything comedy or like dreaming. I'm like, yeah, I could do this. But when I think about kids, I'm like, I don't know if I'm quite ready for that. I want kids.
Yeah.
I want a family, but like that shit scares me. I'm like, bro,
it's supposed to scare you.
Yeah.
And I've heard all my friends have kids. My best friend's having his kid like any day now. He's a little later in life. He's almost my age. But my drummer that I moved out here with in my band, he had kids first. He was like 28, 29. He had kids. So they're almost grown now. They're like 13 or whatever. But I was like, what's the hustle like? What's your hustle like when you find out that your wife is pregnant and like you're still like in the mid of your career, like you're still like finding your way? And he's like, dude, it's like putting nitrous on a car. Like you got 9 months, clock is ticking. You don't find out for like 6 weeks, 7 weeks. You don't tell anybody for like 10 or 14 weeks. He's like, when I found out my first kid was coming, my hustle went through the
just lock in.
So I want to find a way to motivate myself to have that level of hustle, without the responsibility of having a child for the next rest of my life.
Just take the condom off and just always think you're about to have a kid.
Yeah,
that's a good, because anxiety will push you to the next level.
Yeah,
there's a way to do that.
Yeah, I need to flip it and go like, I need to work hard so I don't have a kid.
That's true.
Because I'm 43 now. I missed the window. I think I'm a little too late.
No, you could be an old dad. You know, 48. You still got till you got 5. I mean, that's what it is in Hollywood. It's like you're just there'd be like 30-year-olds playing teenagers. So it's like
that's true.
You could be a 48-year-old dad.
Bill Burr started having his kids at 50.
Yeah,
but I had an old dad, and he passed, so I don't want to pass that along. I think I just have that fear. Plus.
But just let them know, like, hey, man, I'm not going to be here for a long time. But
first day he's born, you're like, hey, listen, it was nice meeting you, but I got to go.
I'm on the way out.
Yeah. Just wanted to leave you all this money.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe within the next 5 years, I'll pull the trigger.
And I also see comics with kids just the material.
Yeah.
The relatability to the flyover states when the material is just like,
yeah.
Does your kid, the other day my kid does diapers, and it's like, you're just telling a story what happened that morning. It's like constantly, kids just do crazy shit.
I like seeing comics that have secret kids. Like you're just open micing with them for years, and you're like, wait, you have a 6-year-old, bro? Like what the fuck? Like
why are you here?
Yeah, go home to your family, dog. But they're out here pursuing their dreams, and I mean, I don't think kids remember shit until like 6 or 7.
Yeah,
you got time.
You do.
You know.
I think earlier. Correct me if I'm wrong. Earlier, you said you wanted to have kids when you make it.
Yeah.
What does making it look like to you?
Money.
Do you have a number?
I
in your
can't
head?
be a poor.
You don't have to say the number. It's just like a yes or no question.
I want to have some leverage and control, and a decent, because I don't want to have like a poor upbringing. Like I kind of want my kids to be like spoiled assholes, because I'm an only child, so I was spoiled.
Okay.
So I need to double down on that.
Yeah.
I don't want them to grow up like seeing me. Like I want them to be comfortable.
Do you have to earn the whole bag?
No.
Or they just have the potential for more bags?
Just like on that bottom of that uphill climb. Like right now, I'm still like trying to get that fucking hook in the rock so I could get to the mountain. But once I'm on that upswing, I think that's when I'll go ahead and bust a nut. That's it.
Well, hopefully you're busting
soon, man. It's just like
yeah. I mean, just recreationally, just for fun.
No, I'm saving it.
Oh, you don't.
I'm not coming.
No nuts are busting.
Fucking
wow.
4 years, bro.
Okay.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah. I was like,
I haven't bust, man. It just builds up, dog.
Monking out.
Yeah.
Like, damn, that's why you're getting so much shit done. Just got
man.
focus and time.
It's almost it's I need to go ahead and do that sooner than later, man. It's time.
Right. We should wrap this up so you could go ahead and go out
and go bust a nut.
Yeah.
go.
We gotta get out of here.
Nuts to bust,
shit
bro.
To do.
Yeah. I got like 3 of them today. So
yeah,
man.
That is new love. That 3 times a day love.
Yeah.
Wow, man. I gotta find somebody.
Yeah, you get back out there, man. What kind of girls do you like?
Well, my last girl, she was half black, half white.
Okay.
And I didn't know. I mean, it's an overshare, but I did not know about ass until, because I dated white girls my whole life.
Yeah.
And I did not know about ass.
Yeah, white girls have those strong backs, though. You ever, like, they got the crevice of the back, so you're like, oh, this is a nice back. But
it's unfair, but I'm hyper attracted to women who work out a lot. Like I like women that are into fitness. But I feel like they tend to be attracted to guys who are also into that.
Yeah.
So I need to find a woman that's into fitness that's also into not spending time at the gym together.
Yeah, that is true.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be the Kevin James, like just
get
big dude.
Yeah.
With like a nice lady.
Well, that's the gift of comedy, man. You get to do that. Like, I mean, not to circle back on, I'm not harping on Pete Davidson, but like, I saw a video of him playing basketball, and he just like, he was frail, and I'm like, he's funny. He's probably funny in the house.
It's the first thing on every description on the apps when you're swiping. Must make me laugh. Must be funny.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if there was a way for comedians to express how funny they are on a dating app, it would be over, man.
It'll
be over.
In the Matrix where they're like the spoon bending part where they're like that's how I be feeling on dates. I'm like, oh, I could just bend the spoon. I am the spoon, and I'm just bending, and I'm like, man, it's a wrap. But you could find a good connection without having to work out. Yeah. Kevin James it, bro. Yeah.
I'm a Kevin James shit.
Yeah. The honeys are out there.
They are. They are. And to be fair, I've met a lot of nice, beautiful women over the course of my lifetime. I've made a lot of great friends. And I'm focused on this show, and I'm focused on working on some things maybe together.
Yeah.
And
let's cook up, man.
yeah, I wanna meet somebody organically by making creative shit.
That's the best way, man, because
Yeah,
then they get to see you, and once they see you in your light, you're like, yeah, I don't have to explain what I am. You saw it.
I don't have to bring you to work.
Yeah.
Come see what I do.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I saw what you do. And that respect level stays.
Yep.
You made a good point on your last episode of your show about, and I don't know if you want to rehash this.
I just be saying shit sometimes, but go ahead.
It's about like like sometimes you meet girls and it's just hook up. And it's very hard for them to.
Oh, yeah. You can't go back.
Status.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really great. In fact, I sent that to a friend of mine who's going through. She's getting played by a dude. They met and they did the sex first. And she was like, "Oh, he's not talking to me anymore." I'm like, "Did you fuck him the first night you met him?" She was like, "Yeah." And she's a creative, so she provided her creative services for him for free. And then they had sex.
He got the thing already.
I was like, he got it all on the first
got
day.
the fucking thing.
And then it was easy and convenient for about another month. And then it got, drug out. And she was like, "What happened?" I was like, "You did not set your expectations. You didn't demand your value. You didn't say this is the price of admission."
Yeah.
And I hope she sees this.
Yeah.
She probably already saw it on your
Fucked
show.
up, man. This is all on you. Try again. But yeah, it's hard to go back and to get you back on the right road once you're like wayward. So it's like, I mean, you could try, but it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
People tend to only remember you, at least in Los Angeles or in life, as the thing that they met you as.
Yeah.
So sometimes, going back to earlier in our conversation, sometimes you got to go away and come back. Like if you start as a nighttime friend, and you disappear for a year, you might have a shot at it.
Right.
But that's the only way.
You cannot fall back into the same pattern of going back at night. It's like, you guys see me at daytime, and then you got, yeah. See, I had this thing that happened to me. I was telling a couple people about this. The girl approached me on a social media tip, and then she's like, "I'm having a hard time discerning whether or not I wanted to be business or pleasure." And I'm like, "You fucking tricked me, man. I didn't even want to go back. Like I didn't. I was like, man, I'm done." It's just like you.
Oh, she tried to do business after pleasure?
like a slimy guy. It's like, you want to write some jokes? Like, no, don't do that to me. I treated her. I was like, "You're a good looking person. I'm gonna treat you as a business person." And then she flipped it on me, and I was like, "All right, man, you went down the wrong road." And then you try to hit me with the okie doke. Nah, man.
There's no going back.
Nah.
No. There are some people that I work with in a professional capacity that I would love to explore a romantic side with, but they're so valuable to the overall plan that I can't step over that line.
Yeah, man. I've had to make that choice a couple of times where I'm like, man, I kind of like her, but I don't want to fuck this up, and I'd rather it be long term and just have a good friendship. But also, like what you said with the girl, it's like you have to have friendship, like because that's probably why those relationships where you just start fucking fails. Like, I don't really know you like that. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we're connected and we have an emotional connection, but I don't even know if I fuck with you like that. Yeah. So it's like,
we don't even know if we can spend time together.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you're friends first, it's like, yeah, man, I fuck with this person. So, and it's also more painful, which, sorry, but
it's all good. I think we're going to end up being like lifelong friends.
Yeah.
It's just right now is like, there's the doubt factor. It's like, did she find another dude? Why did she leave?
That shit be burning, bro.
Oh, it's digging deep right now. And I think some of that stems from like, we both agreed that we were never forever people. But I always thought I would be the one to be like,
yeah,
I'm out. I found my forever person. Thanks for place holding.
Yeah.
I thought I got to pull the ripcord.
Yeah.
And then saving that space, I think I got it in reverse.
Yeah.
I just got what I deserved.
Yeah,
probably.
man. When that karma hits you, man, that shit,
it's real.
You wake up with heartburn, and you're like, ugh. What's your go-to sad songs? Like, what are you bumping right now?
Oh, I'm in a early 2000s pop punk emo phase right now.
Okay.
But I'm growing out of that because I've listened to the same playlist on Spotify for like the last. So basically, when we shut down the last office, this will all tie together. I had 6 months of working at home when I wasn't on the road. So I was either at the airport or I was at my desk at the house. And I wasn't listening to a lot of music. Flights would be podcasts, put me to sleep on the flight. And then it's always the headliners music in the car or the bus. So now that I've got this studio, I live like 30, 45 minutes away from here. So now I'm starting to play music on the way here. That's the long way of saying I see people on social media like playing really great music to their clips, and I want to be exposed to new music.
Yeah.
But I don't have a way to. I have the theory that when you turn 40, they stop making music.
Yeah.
You just listen to all the old shit.
Mm-hmm.
But I really want to. I don't know.
The new music is trash right now, man.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, people have been saying that for a little bit. So
yeah,
like,
and I don't know if it's because I'm old, but I genuinely think that I'm like, man, I do try with this new shit, but I'm like, it just sonically doesn't hit the same.
yeah, the way that they're making music now is all the things we used to make fun of when I was a musician. Like auto-tune was a last resort if your producer fucked up.
Yeah.
And now it's the first thing everybody turns on.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have it in my fucking soundboard. We could like make songs right now.
Damn,
Like,
we could have made a love song, a heartbreak song.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Next episode.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll circle back.
We'll make it a Jeremiah Wonders episode, and we'll just sing songs. Have you ever been on his show?
Nah, man. He lives down the street from me though.
Yeah.
I be seeing him when I'm on my walks.
Yeah. In fact, the last time I went to his house is when I think I saw you.
I hope I don't acquire a lot of enemies because I'm very touchable, and someone could just drive by and just run me over or shoot me.
Yeah.
Because I'm on walks and people be like, I saw you walking, and I'm like, yeah, that's
Yeah, you did. That was me.
I'm just walking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of walks, we'll end on this. And I'm sorry to keep referencing your last podcast.
No,
but
no.
I'm hoping we're promoting your show. The story about walking with your lady and then another person recognizes you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to retell it, but that level of notoriety, I'll summarize it and then you correct me if I got it wrong. But you were walking with your lady, and then another young lady and her man came up, and she said, "Oh my God, you're a comedian! I got your clips in my phone."
Oh yeah,
and then her dog came up to you.
And
That's what I aspire to be.
that was a good moment. What's funny is like there was another moment where someone messaged me. And it was off the Postmates commercial. I was getting DMs from the Postmates commercial. And I was like, how do you want me to respond to this? And she's like, you could just be nice. And I was like, you can't be nice. I'm telling you, they don't want that. This is them trying to slide. But she ended up trying to slide. But
just make
she's trying to fuck.
Just get the record straight.
But yeah, that we were sitting down and it like I remember seeing her and like there's a look, that's how girls flirt. They'll give you the look, and I don't give that like read often like, oh, she's trying to fuck, but like I was like, man, this is kind of uncomfortable. So I kept like reassuring the guy like, hey man, I'm with her, but yeah, and I could tell he was a little uncomfortable, but like
you have to look him in the eye.
Yeah, like I'm here with you, bro.
Yeah. What's your name?
Yeah,
fella.
Because girls will do that. I don't know if it's some sick power move, but they'll try to like position the guy to be some like weird cuck, and you're like, man, I don't like what you're doing to him, and they'll just sit there and take it. I'm like,
has it ever happened to you in reverse?
In a what?
Like in reverse?
Oh, reverse, where I'm doing this,
where your lady has been introduced, like you have to assert yourself. Because I feel a certain kind of way about it. Like when it's happening to me, I can recognize it easily. For me, the play is silent confidence.
Yeah.
Like this doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
And every time that I've brought it up after the fact, like if I'm sitting at a bar with my lady or any lady, and she talks to someone next to her, she talks to everybody. But if the conversation goes longer than, like if I'm sitting there by myself, like we came here to talk together.
Right.
If I now feel ignored, if it goes longer than like, oh yeah, cool, I like sports or whatever.
Yeah.
Then I have to say something. Or I'm making myself small.
Yeah.
But how do you say it in a way where you don't look like the cuck dude that's like,
right,
you just took my girl and my dog?
Right.
There might not be an answer to that question.
I if I were him, I would have came back. I've been in this situation. Okay, so it wasn't the guy trying to fuck, but here the thing is, girls are going to get 3 times as many people trying to fuck as a guy. Like I may get one, and that's the memorable moment. Like, see, girls try to fuck, but like a girl, like more than likely, like every guy is trying to fuck. But if it's in that, if that was the case with me in that position, I would have came back with 2 drinks. Hey, how you doing? Like kind of gently inserted myself. Hey, how are you doing? And then she probably, if she's unaware, because I think a lot of times the girls are. They're not naive to the situation, but they're just assuming the best from the guy. Like, no, he's interested in blah blah blah.
We both like orange juice.
Yeah, you're like, shut the fuck up. But she's giving him the benefit of the doubt, and she doesn't realize he's got her locked in, and you kind of have to just break the spell real quick. Like, hey, like, but if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. There's nothing you could do.
Oh, I've had it go both ways. I've literally, time slows down.
Yeah.
I remember like a waiter one time with an old girlfriend, like 20 years ago, and I saw them. He looked at her, and she looked at him, and I was like, "This is over."
Yeah, like
they got married.
Yeah, that's a tough one. You're like, I saw the fucking moment. And then you feel insecure bringing it up. But then if that were to happen and I missed the moment, I didn't bring the drinks or something, I would just, you set the parameters. Like, hey, let's be mindful in this situation because I'm secure as a man, but don't make me operate like, don't break the security, because once it's broken, then you got an insecure person. Yeah.
So I'm secure enough to let you know how I'm feeling. Like, when you do this, I feel this way. I learned that from therapy. Like, you can't speak for the other person. You can't speak in absolutes, but you can tell them how it made you feel when they did a certain action. But it just always feels like you're not paying enough attention to me, and you're talking to another guy. And then if you do insert yourself in the situation, you introduce yourself to the guy, then he sizes you up right away and instantly goes, "Yeah, cool, man." And then he's like, goes back, and that's when you
if that's when it gets disrespectful, it's like, all right, man, we're done here. Like, if the guy is not mindful enough to be like, oh, okay, so like in that case with that girl, it's like I'm looking at the guy like, oh, hey, what's up? What's your name? Cool, I'm Keith. Yeah, but
I had that happen at the Comedy Store. Yeah, on the patio. I was there with my lady. She used to work with Joe Rogan. She used to be his assistant on Fear Factor. We were trying to get a message back to Joe. I didn't realize at the time how impossible that was. This is like 2016. And these two guys walk up and start talking to me and her. And then one guy just kind of like starts shouldering.
Boxing you out.
He's talking to me like, oh, you're somebody, right? I got to talk. Yeah. And then he's giving him. And my lady was just, bop, 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 bop.
Now I realize.
And I'm positioning myself back. Yeah. And then eventually they're like, hey, we're gonna go to this other bar. Do you guys want to go? And she's like, sure. And I'm like, no, we're not going, guys. And then they're like, she's like, why not? I'm like,
it was an assassination attempt on you. Yeah, it's like, and
I had to explain it to her in the car. She's like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets ruthless out there, especially when we're two guys,
2-on-1.
Yeah, proud, like they're trying to get pussy in.
It's like hyenas. They're just separating, and bruh. Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
That's
so
rough.
I mean, and then if you got to sit back, it's like it's all trust at that point. And it's like hopefully you and your partner have enough trust to be like, all right, she can have the conversation, but she's with me and vice versa. But like,
that's the ultimate though. When you have that, you could be working a room, but working it from two sides of the, and it's like you look over at your partner every once in a while and you just know, you're good, okay, you're good, and then I'm gonna keep talking to these people about this project. You got something you're working on. If you need me, you got that other look, and I'm like, oh shit, it's time to go. Like that. I love that shit when you can get that going and you're both working together. Yeah, it's
like a chessboard. Like the king could only move one space, but the queen could move across the board. So you have to allow her to have access across the board. Right. And it's going to be uncomfortable with you because you can only move one block at a time. But overall, it's good for the entire.
Right. But the king has to see the entire battle.
Yeah, and if he's off the table, the game's over. So it's like you got to protect your king.
Yeah, I like that analogy a lot. Yeah. Keith, thank you for your time.
Thank you, man.
I'm not trying to rush you out. I could do a 4-hour podcast with you, but I respect your time.
Thank you.
Hope you'll come back.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
And look forward to talking to you off camera about some other things.
Yes, sir.
Plug all your stuff one more time for everybody.
At Keith Johnson HQ on Instagram, on site. It's a therapy show with Sam J. I got Culture Court with Matt Lockwood and Drew Morgan. Gentleman's Weekly with Rob Smallwood. We out here, man. We're just trying to make things funny.
That's a lot of content.
Yeah.
You're going to blow those socials up.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying, man.
Awesome.
All angles.
Keith, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me, man.
We'll see you next time, everybody.